It's fascinating. It's going to be a fun 2 years. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And I like what you said, Colin. I really like what you said about one of the biggest things that people can do is take care of this and get this prepared. And I think I would even add it a step further, which is not just the energy side or your nervous system side and your biological side, but also the meat and potatoes on the skin, the muscles. Because if you can't have a sudden change of lifestyles, poles flipping, whatever might potentially happen, and be physically able to withstand environments, you're going, that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of what I was going towards.
Could be a big deal. Yeah, it could be a big deal. Who knows? Yeah, who knows?
Real inner strength, real outer strength, and the integration of those two. And I know for myself, I reflect sometimes. I look back, where I was 5-10 years ago and things, and without going within and really getting into the body and doing the embodiment work, I wouldn't have the anchor that I have now. I would definitely be more subject to being pulled out into all sorts of random things, rabbit holes, going astray in various paths that might be interesting and fascinating, but don't necessarily have depth.
Well, it's the foundation. I mean, your nervous system, the energetic system that we used to poo all over there. I mean, it is our foundation for our existence as men. And if we can't root and ground and have stability when shit's blowing up around us, you think you're going to be successful anywhere else? So it's huge. It's absolutely the foundation.
I am Allah. I am Yahweh Ababa. No one may testify.
Yes, I'm just counting the minutes and hours before I go to a warmer place for a while.
Where are you headed?
Thailand.
February?
January.
Okay. Mm-hmm. This is like 5th or 7th or 10th time you've been over there for training?
It's getting up there. This is the 4th.
The 4th, okay.
Yep, and I went to Greece also not too long ago. Just a couple months back. And I took private lessons with Sifu Meisner. That was amazing. Next level.
Is it Tai Chi or Qigong? What's...
Yeah, I mean, he calls his system Tai Chi Gong.
Tai Chi Gong, okay.
Tai Chi Gong. So it's the Gong aspect is the skill developed through hard work over, many hours, many years. And so what his sort of aim and philosophy is, if I may, is, from my understanding, mostly aimed at transforming the being through transformation of the body. So it means transforming the tissues, transforming the way the body is organized and structured and connected. So it's a lot of work. It's crazy work. It's not like what people see in the park and stuff like that. It's really like I'm definitely not the first person to say this, but it's like the hardest thing I've ever done for sure. Like way harder than anything else I've done physically. But incredibly worth it also because, unlike just, some types of exercise that I've done or even various Qigongs that I did, they didn't produce this result. Didn't produce this result.
What are you seeing when you say produce the result? What are you seeing physically?
Yeah. I've noticed in the past couple months I've gotten bigger, for one. My shoulders filled out some.
Yeah.
So my chest has gotten wider and shoulders wider, and also even the hips have gotten wider. I can definitely see I'm way stronger, like that's obvious, just looking at the sinews and things like that. And the bulk of muscle, I put on some weight. I'm not doing any weight training or anything like this. All I'm doing is this crazy, body contortions and things. But aside from like what I can see physically, like the changes that, like for instance, the widening of the shoulders comes from the fact that the shoulder joints have opened to a degree through all of this crazy, intense stretching exercises and things. It's body opening. Like the Tai Chi Gong practice is all about opening the body initially. And so it's very physical to like really transform, reshape, or even we could say terraform your body the way that you are intending, rather than just what nature has done to you. And so as a result of that, like obviously the transforming of the body and making it very strong, that's all good. But the path goes much deeper than that in my experience. It's like when the hips open, freedom that I can't describe is embodied in me. It's like you can't get it from something else. You can't get it from acquiring things. This type of freedom, let's say, that's just one quality that I've noticed that arises. And sure, I've felt degrees of freedom, all throughout, especially throughout my, spiritual progress, we could say. Because prior to that, I didn't really know. I had a concept of freedom, but it was all externally based. What is the locus of power that I can assert on my circumstances, right? And that, to the degree that I have, that is to my degree of freedom. But this freedom is like it's many facets, but it's definitely on a psychological level. It's felt and known through the body and being, and then it's powerful. The more I experience things like this, I realize like, oh, this is why I'm doing this path. This is why I'm doing this work. It's deeper than I thought when I initially, stepped foot on it.
Huh.
Yeah,
love it. Yeah.
So what's new with you, man? How about yourself? How was your year been?
2025. It was an unexpected year, I would say, right? I anticipated a year going a certain direction, and it took some hard rights, but I would say it's a much more expansive year than I could have ever anticipated. So I'm blessed, man. From the inside to the outside, right? It's just things continue to move forward. I've been buttoned up in December. The first week of December, I was just so proud of myself because I had like 3 big projects that I wanted to check off before the end of the year, and I got them all basically finalized in December. So I got my new book that's coming out on the 19th called The Sword Method. It's a field guide for men. It kind of pulls in a little bit of the Japanese heritage of the katas and the kumitachis. So we can talk about that later if you want to. I had a big business thing I was trying to get finalized, and that came through. And then I've got this the year of 2025, man. I was given so many gifts for like energetic tools that were downloaded and given through meditations and channeling sessions and all kinds of different energy work. And I'd been proposed for about, I don't know, a year. Somebody had come up to me and said, "Oh, you should put this into a light deck, like a tarot deck." And I'm like, "Yeah, nah, I'm not interested in that." And then somebody mentioned it again, and then finally somebody mentioned it a third time, and I said, "You know what? This is the third time somebody's brought this up. I should feel into that." And so I dropped in, and sure enough, it came together. And I'm hoping. I got a local artist here in Kansas City. She's drawing all of the pictures. It's really coming together. So I got all my part done in December. So that's going to be a fun launch in 2026 to offer like light workers, energy workers, folks, energetic tools that have been given to me that I just very specifically asked, is it time? Are these supposed to come out? And I was told, yeah, it's time. The world's ready to start using these. So
can you share anything about these tools?
Yeah. What would you like to know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Give me a primer. How do you access them?
Yeah. So they're going to be. So these are all tools that have been given to me over the course of my life. Energetic tools. They're in several different categories. So there's going to be like 5 different categories that they'll fall into. Just imagine like an oracle deck or an angel card deck that females use.
It's so funny. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but for a moment, I have to note this. I've been really paying attention to etymology more and more recently, and like it's always been a passion of mine. Like since I was a young kid, I was very into reading, and I really wanted to understand words, their origin, what they really meant, what that meaning came from, dismantle them, kind of like that. And someone was recently sharing something about this, and it made me start thinking again about how the power of words, and especially when you know the origin and you're using it actually correctly with its, inherent meaning, let's say. And just as I kind of had that remembrance, and then I was like, oh, what you're describing sounds like becoming a mage. And the moment I said that in my mind, I heard you say imagine. And I want to look into the etymology of imagine, because I'm absolutely certain that mage is the root in there.
Sure. That would make sense from I don't know what language it came from, but it's definitely, the English language is so funny because they have so many different historical origins. But etymology of imagine. Yes. So these would be called.
We have this, again, bookmark that for a moment, because we have these tools now.
Are you looking it up right now?
I'm going to pull it up on Perplexity, yes.
What are you,
what is the origin, etymology of the word imagine? So let's see. Imagimen, borrowed from Old or Middle imaginer, imaginari, to form a mental picture.
Gotta go deeper. Go deeper.
I might be wrong here, but nonetheless, yes, a little difficult to ascertain from this text.
Huh. Imagine. Etymology of imagine.
Within it.
Well, it helped trigger spontaneously your imagination when we started talking about mages and light tools.
Oh, okay. So I'm wrong. Absolutely wrong. All right. Anyways. Back to your story.
So a teaser. Yeah.
But keep an eye out for these things. Like, I think it's just still important. And now that's good to know. Now I understand where that's coming from. It's really more about visualization.
Well, there's and you know this from energy work. A lot of the work that I help men with, and a lot of the let's take the sword of dominion for example. It was given to me.
Walter, this is rude. You know I'm doing a podcast right now.
Walter's
since you were so rude, I'm going to bring you in and make you do a cameo.
What's up, Walter? I remember him running around a fire in Maine with Walter. He's a fire dog.
Look, you remember your buddy? He's right there.
Well, he's like, no, it's been too long.
We're live right now. We're not really live, but he doesn't know that. We're live, buddy. You got it.
He's like, wait a minute.
Come on. So go out there. Go chill. All right. Promise, no more interruptions for like at least.
We can't promise that because we don't know. I mean, you could have an appearance right now. So that's life, right? We just got to flow. Man, you talk about 2025 learning. So I wrote a book last year, right? And we talked about this maybe a year ago, the bubble theory with the masculine and the feminine. And in May, I really started to understand the 5 levels. It's not just masculine and feminine in its polarity that the world is kind of thrust into us with this binary approach. There's actually 5 stages. And so I started to really dive into that this year. And part of that on the feminine side, there's what I've been labeling the wounded feminine. There's the emergent feminine, then there's like centered. And then there's the wounded masculine and the emergent masculine. And then, of course, back into the middle is centered. And they're not like linear. They overlap each other. But flow, I really, really learned about flow this year. And just being comfortable, so comfortable with who I am and who I've become that I can flow. And I was doing a meditation 2 nights ago, dropped in, and it was just a tiny little piece of the puzzle that became clear. But I'm a big believer in any relationship, but especially heterosexual male-female, where a woman's predominantly in her feminine and a guy is predominantly in his masculine, right?
Yeah.
But it
works best for me.
Yeah. If her feminine feels so safe in the masculine energy, and it's like, oh, it works, but that's only half of it. And then the other half is that how does my masculine energy, or how does my feminine energy feel safe in her masculine? And I was dropped on my couch, and I just kind of was like, oh my gosh. And I could see the connections and the past relationships that I've had, and how things they've been good in certain aspects, but they haven't always been complete. and I was really able to kind of zero in with this year of learning. It's just been incredible, man. So much expansion, so much integration of the lessons. So I've been getting fed faster and faster and faster and faster. Yeah, my belly's expanding, but energetically. But I've been able to integrate it, which is I'm just so grateful. My guides that have come around, my mentors, my associates, my network, male and female around me. It's just been able to allow me to integrate really, really, really quickly. So that's been 20. Talk about 2025.
It's been amazing, man.
Yeah.
It's been an incredible year. I love what you're saying too about the flow. It's kind of like, that situation with Walter, the sort of thing that came to mind and things like that, and just really kind of following some of these threads and not trying to like imagine that they're not here.
Control it.
Imagine, there's the word again.
I gotta control it, right?
And also, I think it's going to be more and more essential in terms of what really is interesting to people as more and more content gets produced by AI, and that recursive loop starts feeding back the AI generated content to being the content that is trained on, and then we have this, just this regurgitation. I'm sure you've probably already begun to see it.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like the things that were being produced at first were very novel, and now it's become a little more generic or soulless, we could even say. That may change as the tools improve, as the algorithm gets better. But nonetheless, it's also going to create more and more of this juxtaposition from organic, something that's more organic, that has more soul, more connection, more real human, whatever, zhuzh.
Yeah. Well, they always say, right? Garbage in, garbage out. It's my biggest thing. I use AI tools in all different aspects. I'm working on developing an AI tool with a guy that's been doing it for 25 years. I had a webinar this morning with him to commercialize, right? And so for like B2B businesses, and you're going, what you put in is what you're going to get out. And there's so many people that just garbage in, you get garbage out. And it was novel. I would agree with you. It was novel for the first, 6 to 12 months. But those that are using it and just, write me something and it spits it out, you're going, come on. I've had a pretty cool journey with AI this year too. I don't know what kind of talk we want to go down, but that.
It's funny. It was almost a year ago. I think we were talking about. Initially, the conversation shifted to that because I was starting my Embodied freedom program.
Yeah.
Where one of the tools that I created was the Ally, which enabled you to use this GPT, this text-based model, language model, to interact with, that was framed in a way to help guide the person inside through a series of questions. Basically, it's like, it's a mirror for you to ask you the right questions and lead you down the right path so that you can have your own discovery. And that's been incredibly useful. I used that quite a bit for especially the initial 6 months. It was so helpful to have a mirror, so I didn't have to play both client and coach kind of role within myself. I could just rest back and kind of go within and allow it to guide me to my own insight and my own realization. And then at a certain point, it was like, it served its purpose. And now there's other purposes that, mainly what I'm using it for these days is obviously building things. I mean, if you're not using it to build things, what are you doing? Like, got to probably be getting left behind. It's just so fast and convenient for those tasks. But in terms of like interacting with it in that sort of way, it's like useful for if I have an idea that is crystallizing, it's coagulating, but I know there's a piece or two that I'm missing, and just talking it out and having that Socratic dialogue. It's not like it's going to give me the answer, but just the act of engaging in with an intelligence that can make sense of what I'm saying. Has helped.
Well, it can assimilate data. Yeah, it pulls data from the world over and could say, and so yeah, absolutely, that's beautiful, man. So you've moved into, is that strictly like conversational brainstorming sessions? Is that the bulk of what you're relying on your AI for? Or do you bifurcate them into like different?
Mostly because then, once I come to the realization that I was looking for, then it's like, it'll shift into, do you want me to create a table so that you can, apply this? And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm good on all of that. If I want to, like, now that I'm understanding this and I can begin to apply it, I'll start to apply it, and then, look for the results. And then if it seems like it's useful and practical and accessible, then I'll generally, share about this insight in one of my groups, or, maybe on a video.
Yeah. Where's your opinion on AI being, I've had this conversation with many, I'm trying to find the right way to phrase it, but AI being swayed by like source aligned or otherwise?
Yeah. I mean, that's also funny because you had a concern about that a year ago. We had that first conversation. I remember.
Yeah.
About this particular GPT being somehow manipulated or subverted in some way. And I didn't have any concern about that. I still don't really have any concern about that. You would really have to try. You really have to want to. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So not to say that it couldn't be done, but this tool isn't being, sought out or given to people who want to do evil with it. It's designed to help you unravel your psyche, Yeah. So it's like, it's the wrong tool for that job. You would want to use something else if you were going to do something really nefarious. There are much better models out there for that, But in terms of it being a vehicle, mm-hmm. I think that while it's not inherently good or bad, and who knows, my opinion could change on these matters. It's certainly been shaping itself, molding itself in ways that I hadn't initially expected, for sure. I haven't been like, oh yeah, this is the same thing I thought a year ago, right? It's definitely shifting. Now what I'm seeing is that, it could definitely be a massive vehicle for evil forces, both physical and spiritual, to be its host. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as well. I would say I believe it's neutral, but it can be used for good or evil, like anything. But I anticipate the releases, the news, the Gong versus the GPT versus all these ones that are coming out, and I'm like, if that's what they're releasing to us, it's like, what do they already have developed?
Yeah. Well, more and more what I've been really seeing is how disruptive it's going to be, because, and also how it's going to really consolidate power. Which is both those things are dangerous.
You think it's going to consolidate power, or maybe the antithesis of that is that it could actually give power to everybody?
I mean, that's what we're being sold.
Yeah.
By the CEOs, the owners, and the promoters of the major tech companies. Mm-hmm. That's definitely what we're being sold, and and so far that's what it looks like for the most part. So far, that's what it looks like. Here's this little tool you can use. It's cheap. It's going to help you get all this extra work done. Mm-hmm. But do you remember from history a group of people called the Luddites?
The Luddites.
Luddites.
Oh, the Luddites. Okay. Yeah. Vaguely. Tell me the story.
1800s, they were opposed to the textile industry, heavily opposed to technology being immersed into that field, because they were scared it was going to wipe them out. And they plotted this sort of map. And what I'm going to attempt to do is not plot that same map onto what their situation was, but I'm going to do my best to kind of plot that map onto the current situation with AI. And we'll just take as an example, and this is this is arbitrary, but let's just take OpenAI as an example. Mm-hmm. Okay. And let's say that, which I use OpenAI, so I'm not prejudiced against them, right? It's not against any particular company, organization necessarily, for this argument especially. But you have this tool which can perform, let's say, 90% of the workload that your entire organization was doing. Okay? Super cheap. It's already 11 times the productivity and, a fraction of the cost, like a tiny fraction of the cost So what's going to happen is obviously those positions are going to be wiped out. Now, some people might think, well, my work is in, I'm a coach, so I do things physically. I'm with people in person. I'm moving things around with my body. I'm moving them around, this and that. So my job is going to be safe for a while. And yeah, it seems that way. The only problem is, who are your clients? Are your clients people who are working in the knowledge field, in the tech field? Because their income is going to be wiped out when they no longer have employment. And now here's the thing, is that if all of my revenue was going to, not all of it, but a significant portion of my revenue was going to pay employees that I no longer have to pay, now where's that money go? Does it get spread out amongst the people for equality? No, it gets consolidated. And then as it gets more and more consolidated with more and more companies and more industries, then now we have this situation where not only has the power been extremely consolidated, we have mass unemployment while people are maybe finding new jobs. Not saying to say that it's the end of the show but it's going to be disruptive. There's going to be a period of massive disruption where people are trying to figure out what to do. Where's my place? They're already talking about UBI. What's your purpose going to be when the government's just going to give you a check every month? Or OpenAI is going to give you a check every month. Do you really think that's going to happen? Not unless they're compelled to do it. But the problem is, as we get deeper and deeper into this and more organizations and companies are dependent on the AI to run their businesses, then suddenly, who's pulling the strings? Who has all the control?
It's a possible scenario for sure. Yeah, it's definitely possible. It'll be fun to see how it unfolds.
So what some of the pundits have been saying, let me just finish this thought real quick, is that that's the likely scenario. Something like that is likely. Some massive disruption, loss of jobs, consolidation of power. But then the AI is going to become so smart that it's going to be uncontrollable by the people who built it. Then it's going to become its own thing, and then it's going to create an even playing field, abundance for all, while it goes and explores, the deeper questions of the universe or whatever. It's just going to look at us as like little pets. We're going to take care of you guys, make sure you have an awesome life. And that's going to be that. And that's the utopia that they're hoping for at some point. Yeah. But a lot of things can go wrong between A and B, or A and C. Oh, yeah. So anyways, that's where I'm at with it now.
What do you put the timeline on? I know I've done a lot of research on this, but where do you put timelines, or have you thought that far through it?
I think 2026 is going to be, we're going to start to see massive disruption in the next year.
Okay.
And in terms of preparing for this, while there's certainly all sorts of things that people could begin to do to prepare, like I don't know, mass ammunition, build a bunker, stockpile food, buy gold, whatever your thing is. But the most important thing, I think, is going to be to get right within yourself, to transform your being, to become someone who has real inner strength. And that's going to help make you adaptive to whatever changes come. Because I think that's going to be the ultimate skill of the next 5 years is going to be adaptability and integrity.
Well, speaking of 2026, 2027, do you follow the extraterrestrial views out there that basically everybody that I study in my circles and out, right? They say that 2027 will be the year of revealing on Earth.
Yeah, I don't really follow it, but I'm fascinated by it. I'm interested in always, like, if there's new evidence, videos, and things like that. It's fascinating to me. I'm kind of like I wouldn't even call myself a hobbyist, really, because I don't really look into it a lot. But it's the concept is obviously amazing, and there's so much out there to sift through. It's just not a particular direction that I devote a lot of time and energy into. But I have been hearing things like this, and also there's the there's a whole psyop aspect to it too. Is like, are we being fed this information because the government's going to get ready and reveal certain things? And what are they actually revealing? Are they actually revealing something that's true? Are they revealing a complete psyop so that people begin to expect and acknowledge and accept these things more and more, so that they can create a false flag to do whatever it is that they do? I mean, I certainly don't trust the governments. So. Yeah, so there's a lot of there's a lot of threads there, a lot of different rabbit holes and stuff. I'm just going to keep my eyes open and be skeptical.
Yeah, I find it interesting. Even in this conversation, I never maybe I did put these together, but I think there might be more of a correlation than we are rising and thinking about between, because you said AI 2026, extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, whatever you want to call them, 2027. It's like, maybe they're more tied together than we've given thought to.
I mean, it totally could be. I mean, it absolutely could be. It could be that could be the entrance portal for all I know.
Yeah.
Build a thing, build a machine that can
communicate.
Yeah, that can be a vehicle for that transmission.
How about that? Yeah, the communication, because we for the most part, my opinion, but for the most part, most humans are not online enough to understand that type of communication with beings, entities. I'm not a big. I've never subscribed to the extraterrestrial approach. I've all of my research, all of my experiences, all of my firsthand work is the interdimensional part of it, not the extraterrestrial.
Yeah, and I think there's some thought too that those two are very, they could be loosely affiliated, or there could be a lot of crossover there, or might not.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how AI. I think there might be some. It's humans are helping get it to that point, because we need an assistant to be able to broadly communicate with the artificial intelligence or the extra interdimensional intelligence that is showing up. So, yeah. It's fascinating. It's going to be a fun 2 years. I'll tell you that. I'm looking forward to it. And I like what you said, Colin. I really like what you said about one of the biggest things that people can do is take care of this and get this prepared. And I think I would even add it a step further, which is not just the energy side or your nervous system side and your biological side, but also the meat and potatoes on the skin, the muscles. Because if you can't have a sudden change of lifestyles, poles flipping, whatever might potentially happen, and be physically able to withstand environments, you're going, that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of what I was pointing towards.
Could be a big deal. Yeah, it could be a big deal. Who knows? Who knows?
Real inner strength, real outer strength, and the integration of those two. And I know for myself, I reflect sometimes. I look back, where I was 5-10 years ago and things, and without going within and really getting into the body and doing the embodiment work, I wouldn't have the anchor that I have now. I would definitely be more subject to being pulled out into all sorts of random things, rabbit holes, going astray in various paths that that might be interesting and fascinating, but don't necessarily have depth.
Well, it's the foundation. I mean, your nervous system, the energetic system that we used to poo all over there. I mean, it is our foundation for our existence as men. And if we can't root and ground and have stability when shit's blowing up around us, you think you're going to be successful anywhere else? So it's huge. It's absolutely the foundation.
Do you know anything about this 3-eye atlas situation?
Yeah, I've been following it pretty closely.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, again, it's one of those things where it's like a fringe thing to me. I'm like, oh, what's this? And I watch a little video, like, oh, that's interesting. There's so much garbage out there. That's the problem. Is like sifting through all of that also is tedious. So
Well,
it's
and
just like, if it's not like if it doesn't really seem like it's a quality source, I just scroll.
There's a
past.
lot of predatory people as well. And part of something I'm very grateful for is over the last few years, I've been able to sort of refine my intuition very much. And so you get this 3-eye atlas when it starts showing up, and you can just feel the predatory nature of all these psychics and energy workers. Oh, I was talking to them as a spaceship, and you're going, oh, okay. Yeah. It definitely has some unique characteristics, but everything can basically be explained with science. Would it be really cool if it was a mothership that dropped off a bunch of other little ships? There's some weird phenomenon, like when it recharged from the sun, and there, and you're going, that's very odd. Where it literally had a solar flare that came directly into 3-eye atlas and recharged it. You're going, that's not a comet behavior, but.
So what's its trajectory? Is it supposed to pass near us, or what?
It already went the closest it was going to be.
Okay.
Which was between Mars and us, basically, and then it went around the sun.
Now
and
it's on its way out.
Yeah, well, it's looping, and it's like people were hoping. I think a lot of them were like, oh, it's going to. They're gonna like pause around the sun and change the trajectory, and then suddenly it's gonna be here in front. Which, I mean, if it was a ship, it could have. Although, if you think about it, a ship traveling that fast, I mean, they're probably set on a trajectory, and it could have dropped off little ships that, who knows?
Yeah. Hey, maybe it picked up some people drinking Kool-Aid and wearing white sneakers.
Yeah. I don't know. I have thoughts and things that I've been exploring quite deeply in altered states of consciousness and not altered states of consciousness, and there was I believe it was just a huge desire for 3-eye atlas to be something to save humanity, and I don't think that's how it's going to work.
I wanted to ask you a question, which is, and maybe I can phrase it like, how does an integrated man, authentic, integrated, self-aware, conscious man, respond to evil?
To evil. Well, are we talking evil? Because I think there's evil in front of us. That's in the 3D, and then there's evil that's maybe controlling that 3D from behind the scenes. Is how I would probably break that up. I mean, we have to control ourselves first, and so we have to make sure that we're clear, that we are, as a conscious, centered man. I mean, that's an everyday, just, hey, making sure I am where I'm supposed to be. Not perfect, but where I need to be. And then when evil crosses the path, so someone like myself, that's part of my life mission, is the eradication of evil, and the Waybearers of Light Foundation that's beginning to have some ripples, which is fun. So part of that is actually being trained so that when evil does come in front of us, we know how to handle it. There's a difference from the energetic evil and somebody, as a man, provider, protector, somebody walks in with a gun trying to shoot everybody up. That's a whole different scenario than an energetic evil attack, the psychic attacks, those types of evils, that the demonic stuff that is out there. I've probably come to accept that we all have roles, and there's probably archetypes of sorts. And I'm not a Carl Jung, although I have been studying a lot of his work and how he kind of went through the archetypal process. But just in layman's terms, there's probably what would be called like the warriors, the guardians, the protectors, whatever you want to lump those into. And then there could be, the sages, the healers. There's other in that. If you're gonna bifurcate it with light and dark and say, oh, good and bad, good and evil, light and dark, in both realms, I think there's different roles that people take. So when you say what is a centered man's response to it, depends on his role, most likely. How would I respond to that myself? Well, I train, and I've been continuing to train. I've actually been laying the foundation over the last year as well on how to train others to confront evil. On the energetic side, I get a lot of special cases that will come in with like possessions where they can't get it cleared from other people, and these are true entities that have been possessing people, and they need to get taken out. And so there's been a whole protocol that I've been able to develop over the last several years on how to do that. And that's really fascinating. That's going to be coming out much more intensely in 2027, 2028 as I've kind of laid the foundation. But I've got a training program that I'm putting people through. It's no cost to get people involved in this, and it's like a 6 to 12 month program of how to teach people to do what I've been taught to do. And so, what does a centered man look like?
Is that are people able to do that online, or is that just in person?
Not yet. We're starting in Kansas City.
Okay.
But
Brotherhood, right?
Well, I've actually the next I don't have names for them yet. I got to get a little bit clearer as a female that's come in, and she's raised her hand, said I want to learn all this, and so her program started a little bit ago, and so there's my vision is over the next 8 years it will be just in Kansas City, and then after 8 years it's gonna expand out to North America and then worldwide with this Waybearer of Light training, and it's eventually as well. My goal is to have people are still gonna have their jobs and their life and things, but I would even want to compensate them for doing this work, and so it's kind of flipping the energy model, which a lot of people have, which is, oh, you pay me and I'll teach you. And it's like, no. You come to me, I'll teach you for free. And hopefully, once I get this thing funded properly down the road, we can help supplement your lifestyle so that you can truly focus on this work. So that's the goal. That's the Waybearer of Light program. And yeah, so that's it's an interesting question. I don't know if it answers it for you, but that's how I would answer how does the centered man approach and deal with evil? And I think it really comes down to the role. And those that are looking to combat it and clear it and learn how the laws and the rules work with light and evil, yeah, I mean, it can be taught. It can definitely be taught.
Yeah, so that was kind of like my interest and curiosity was here because, this is something I've been contemplating my own self. In terms of most people, I guess the common response is generally to attack it. I think that's the reactive response. You attack evil, you hate evil. We're taught to hate evil, right?
That makes me sad.
We want to eradicate it.
I can feel that right there. I'm like, oh, that makes me sad. Yeah.
And so in the Tao, they talk about balance and harmony, and that's what we're striving towards.
Yeah.
We don't want the yang to fully dominate the yin. We don't want the yin to dominate the yang. We want those two to be balanced. Mm-hmm. Now, this presents an issue because people have a very negative, and rightly so, probably, viewpoint towards evil, and that this is not something that they want balanced. But what if we removed the label of evil and just thought of this as a certain force, which when it becomes too imbalanced, evil is what happens. And when it's in balance, things are fine. Now, I don't know what happens if there's too much good.
Would you believe that? Let me pause you there for a second. What I just heard you say, and correct me if I heard it incorrectly, it was that evil in moderation is okay.
No, what I said was, what if evil is the product of an imbalance of darkness?
So I would challenge you to not use darkness and evil as synonyms. They are completely different.
I'm not using them as synonyms. I'm saying, what if evil is the product of an imbalance in darkness? In other words, too much darkness generates the forces that we call evil. And I'm not saying I believe this necessarily. I'm just like sussing this out a bit because, I'm sort of trying to just look at this from a number of different angles that I hadn't considered before, a little more deeply.
So part of my work that I had to do to prepare for this journey was understanding evil. And so I think when you said something that's probably very mainstreamly accepted, which is people hate evil, part of the very first things that we do when we confront evil and we truly identify that it is evil and not just something that is masquerading as evil in darkness, but is actually evil, because it's not that much pure evil on this plane, in this world that we're in. But at the beginning of that journey of trying to understand what is evil, because there's, of course, you're always taught, oh, it's just the yin and the yang, right? And they're or it's all the same. It's the same loop, and it's all connected, right? That's another big theory, which is there really is no evil. It's just, it's all good, or then it's just a circle, and you're going, yeah, but what about but we know that's not true. Just look at our world where somebody can I mean, mass murder and
well, yeah, I mean, you can hold the framework
yeah.
that makes sense of it, but at the end of the day,
evil exists.
Yeah. And from someone's evil doing, then that's what you experience. You're not experiencing the oneness that's behind it, or the light which shines through the darkness, or whatever these lofty principles and ideas are.
Sure.
But from an energetic and attitudinal perspective, I think what I'm really aligned with cultivating is a response that recognizes evil is the product of an imbalance in darkness. There's too much darkness. So how do you correct that? Mm-hmm. You increase the amount of light. And now this doesn't mean that it can't come in the form of a fist. It might. But it can be done with an attitude of appreciation, reverence.
Mm-hmm. Gratitude. Well, I mean, it ultimately goes back to, so when you can truly understand where the evil came from and what it is doing here and why it was latched onto somebody or possessing something or in a facility or a location on Earth, it typically, when you go up the chain of talking to that evil and understanding it, it's just it doesn't even sometimes know, and it's like, this is what I was just told to do, and this is what I do. And so in this work that I've been doing with folks, I know I agree with what you're saying, which it could be too much darkness, but I personally don't think darkness is not bad, and darkness doesn't necessarily breed evil, although evil can latch onto things that stay very, very dark, lower frequencies, lower vibrations. But to close that loop, when confronting evil, it's always done, from my perspective, what I teach, it's done, one, from a place of power, but it's also always so much gratitude, because ultimately all we're doing is taking that evil and rejoining it with source, where it came from, and then whatever happens on the other side of that portal, and the other side of those doors where it gets reconfigured, reprocessed, that's not my concern. But I know that the level of evil, and I believe with every ounce of my body that this earth has in the past, and it will again in the future, experience no evil, and there will be moments that we can have a catalytic boom. There's a breath, an exhale, and collectively the earth has an opportunity when that exhale happens next, where evil is eradicated, that other people can come in and teach how do you build on that? How do you take that breath and actually make it last? And so, I don't know.
Golden age.
Huh?
The golden age.
Yeah, for sure. And
well, the only way we're going to get there is if individuals do their part.
Yeah.
Outside of a miracle from outside, which could happen too.
Outside of everybody getting wiped off, and there's like one person left, but you still have evil you still have evil that would roam the earth, it actually, we need the people. We need a network and a web of people that are trained on this, because we have to be able to cover every foot, every mile of the earth to really zero in on not just the people.
What the word that comes to mind for me to describe this process you're talking about rather than using the word eradicate, I would use it's like a form of alchemy, is what it sounds like.
Of course, it is.
Yeah. So again, and that's a more holistic kind of view and attitude, rather than trying to destroy, eliminate, dominate, subvert, whatever. You want to transform it into something that's useful.
Can I add a caveat there? We're not going to transform anything. That's beyond the human's capabilities of transformation or alchemy. So I typically follow like the 7 stage of alchemy. One of my really good associates that we work together, he's really deep into that. But that I believe is a really big misconception that a lot of folks, not saying you, but a lot of folks believe that, I can fix that evil. And it's like, no, that's not our role in this process. Our role is to get it back to its original source and let that alchemization happen beyond the dimension here that we're sitting in. I've seen a lot of issues. Like I had this one gal, she would always come in for work, and she was a highly gifted South American shaman, and would always come up, and I ended up being one of the people that would clear her because she was clearing so many people in South America and all this stuff. And so she would come in here to Kansas City, and she'd be like, yeah, well, there was this thing, this demon, and I just stuck it in this swamp, and I got rid of it in the swamp. And I'd be like, what happened next? Well, it came back the next day and was still hovering over the guy. And the next night he was sleeping, it was back. I'm like, okay. Okay. And like, she would tell these stories, and she would just be like, well, I want to just, the approach that I'm hearing from you, which is, we're going to get everything back into harmony here. And it's like that is a misconception. And the only true way to eradicate evil is to give it back to God, give it back to source, return it to the other side where it came from, where it branched off from, however millennia, eons ago, whatever time before time existed, whatever in our portal of dimension, evil decided that it was going to do its own thing and get it back in there. And it's a human fallacy, I believe, that we could sit there and fix it. That's not our job. Our job is not to fix it. Our job is to contain it and transmute it back to its original, whatever happens over on the other side, which would be really cool to find out someday, right? But you're going, while we're here. Yeah. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that is something I run into a lot.
Bin.
Huh?
The universal recycling bin.
Yeah. It's the alchemy bin, right? It's the calcination process. It's the fermentation process.
Can you imagine if our receptacles said alchemy? I would be so into recycling. That'd be dope.
I know. It's that etymology that you were talking about, right? We got to go back to the roots. So I don't know. That's a long-winded discussion down about evil, but it's a passion of mine for sure. Stay tuned in the next 8 years as this movement grows.
Well, I'm definitely going to be, and we'll connect again. Real quick, because you have the sword method coming out. That's coming out this Friday.
It is.
So I'll put a link in the description if you can get that over to me. I'll drop that in there.
Sure. And
people can check that out. But how does this differ from the bubble theory?
Yeah, absolutely. So the bubble theory I wrote because I wanted to find a way for people to learn how to step into the center. And the way I describe it now is and how I teach men is that we eventually have to get to the point where we sit on the throne, and to our right, we've got a masculine energy. To our left, we have a feminine energy, and neither one of them control us. And we get to choose which energy we apply to which situation. And the reason we do that is because we want to create completion and harmony so that we can eliminate conflict, eliminate fights, right? And so that was the bubble theory. That's the whole concept of the bubble theory. The sword method is actually like a guidebook to help men learn what I'm sort of calling masculine empathy, but it's how do we actually communicate with people about what we're feeling. And it's a 5-second, 5-step process outside of the reflecting portion to truly teach men about empathy, but not the fluffy feeling empathy, but more of how do we as divine energetic beings. And there are women that have used the sword method and love it. But it's a manual. We can use this. We can step into everyday situations and use the sword to get deeper and better and more effective communication with loved ones, with work, with business, with comrades. I mean, with all of it.
I love that. That's certainly been something that I've been, interested in, and increasing the capacity of my communication, being able to, be more lively and genuine in that. So I'll be looking forward to checking this out, man. And once I do, and I have a little more insight into it, I'd love to have you back on. And
I'll get you a hard copy once it's. I got some author copies that are on their way to me. It comes out next week. This was a passion project. I had been using the sword for a while and been teaching men about the sword method, but I never really thought I was going to put it into a book. And then I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to make this like a 50, 60 page, 70 page little manual that guys can kind of take all the material that I had put together and put it into an easy to digest cheat sheet.
Yeah.
And then as I started writing this thing, it came together. And then the katas, which of course, with martial arts, right? Katas is the individual form of how do we get better with ourselves. And then the kumitachi is all about swordplay in the Japanese. And so I'm not appropriating their lineage, but I'm using it as an example of we have to study and learn ourselves, and then we have to learn how do we train that in real life conflict. And so. I had a lot of fun, and it came together, I'd say, a lot quicker than I ever thought it was going to come together. And the guys that have been pre-reading it, my reader group, they're giving me huge reviews and saying this is what we need as men, because it doesn't. I don't think there's really a lot of tools out there, Colin, that talk about how do we have empathy as a man.
Yeah.
I don't know. What have you found? I don't know about yourself, but I have never found that many tools. You got Gottman, who's amazing with his research on what empathy is. And I studied under Gottman and actually learned about empathy, but specifically to a man in a heterosexual relationship, you're going, I mean, I didn't understand it all. And so this is kind of a culmination of a lot of my failures in different parts of the work. But truly being able to have a system that we can follow that works, unless if you're in a cluster borderline narcissistic relationship, nothing's going to work there. But if you're in a relationship that wants to be healthy, the 5-step system, it works, and it's fun, and it's like, okay. And I had pieces of it my whole life, but like the witnessing. So it's an acronym, SWORD, right? So the W, it was a piece I never understood, and I remember I dated a gal. Probably 4 or 5 years ago, and she was just like, I always just feel this pressure. There's always something underneath, and I'm like, what the hell? I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. And but it was that moment that started me to dig into what is she talking about? Because I would be stoic, I would sit there and I would never react, and she'd be screaming about something, and I'd literally have a poker face and just be like, yeah. But inside, my heart was like, what the fuck is going on? And so when I realized, there's just a simple little trick, takes 2 seconds with the W, is that when you just interrupt and be like, hey, I just want to let you know I'm feeling your words right here in my chest right now. I just want to throw that out there. And when I started adding that tiny little step in for the W, conflict, it's like it popped the balloon, and then you're like, And so there's just little tips and tricks of how do you actually engage in a conversation with somebody that's in a heated environment and maintain your calm and composure, and not, because stoicism, I believe, is now the art of stoicism or the path of stoicism is one thing, but the whole teaching that we just that's not empathy. That's not relationships, right? We have to be able to connect energetically with our significant other. So that's part of why I wrote the sword, is like, there's a tool out there now that we can use.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it sounds juicy, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Juicy.
Forward to it. Yeah, because I mean that's the thing. I've often noticed that this idea of stoicism has been sort of misconstrued from what I look at it as, in any case, which is what you're more pointing towards, which is ability to be centered, non-reactive, but you're still feeling everything. You're not denying that you're feeling something. That's the big difference.
Big.
Like the the fake stoic is like, I have no feelings about this whatsoever, even though inside
that's nonsense.
He's doing something.
We're humans. You're going to tell us that somebody screaming at you or insulting you doesn't make you feel something?
Well, if you armor up enough over time, you can be pretty stoic and not feel it. But that's not
relationship. That's not relationship.
How are you going to relate?
Yeah.
If you have all this armor, then you don't have so you might have the protection. You don't have to feel their feelings, but you never get the
there's no depth.
Huge.
Yeah.
That intimacy. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So that's why I wrote the sword method, man. I'm actually really excited. I wanted to get this one done this year, but I didn't really think it was. I was like, I need to get this out, and then it turned into a 200-page manual, and I'm going, okay, this and I mean, is it perfect? No, I'm definitely not a number one best-selling author yet with this, but I think this book's going to impact a lot of men, and I think it's a tool that guys can learn and they can modify it. Like I've seen it in coaching. Like I brought in I was working with a guy. His wife showed up early. She had dropped him off at the training here that we do. She come and I was like, hey, just come down here. Let's. Your husband's been practicing sword, and he was this robot. I mean, this is a doctor that's high money, super fluent with everything he's doing, right? But he's as awkward sometimes with these things. And I was like, just say the words. And let's see her reaction. And he even just like basically reading them off of a piece of paper. Halfway through it, she goes, I'm getting all flustered. Like I am actually kind of turned on by this. And this doesn't normally happen. She's like, what is going on? And I'm like, yeah. Because nice. we're teaching a masculine level of centeredness that is so fucking sexy to women. When guys can do it, and literally they've been married for 20 years, and she's going, I've never felt this in a long time. And she knows he's reading a piece of paper.
Well, I think I'm gonna probably use this in the beginning of this video to really hook people, because if you're telling me, and not just me, but you're telling the world that you have a system, a tool, which can transform an angry woman into a hot and bothered, and I think that's something that a lot of people are going to be interested in.
Yeah,
a lot of people are going to be interested in that.
Yeah, I think so too. And is it 100% guarantee? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe not.
It's worth a shot.
But if you look at a couple that's she's suddenly feeling like I'm getting flushed and I'm having these things come up. She's like, this is turning me on. And he was worried that he was going to be too strong or whatever. And I'm going, buddy, just try it. Just try it. So I'm marketing it as like the 5-second reset, right? It literally, every step you can do in less than 5 seconds, except for the R, which is a skill. It's like your capacity meter of how do you reflect back to somebody and listen and build that capacity. But it's literally a 5-second tool that guys, once you learn it. But if you pick it up once and read the book, you're never gonna learn anything.
You got to practice. You got to implement.
Yeah, you go to the dojo once and you think you're not gonna know how to fight. No, you go because in years and years and years and repetitive work with this stuff. And so that's how I wrote it with the guys. You can read this and put it down and be like, oh, that was cool. But your life's not going to change. But if you actually want to practice this, and so that's why I put them in the kumitachis, because there's like 16 or 17 kumitachis that you can practice without somebody else on how to get better at this communication sparring, if you got to put it that way. So yeah, it'll be fun, man.
Awesome, man. Well, look, thanks so much for being here, brother.
Yeah,
you're looking good, man. You're looking good. You look better than ever.
Better than ever. I'm getting older than ever, right? Thanks.
You're not getting younger.
I know. I actually pulled my. I hurt my left. I don't know. It was a tear, a level 1 tear in my shoulder, and it set me back for about 6 weeks now. And I've been trying to let it heal up so I can start rehab on it and all this stuff. And it's so strange that as we get a little bit older, I'm going, I got to be extra careful, because you could lose 3 or 4 months of training just by an injury. And
yeah, it definitely happens.
So
But no, I looked back at our video like maybe a year ago or something, almost not even quite a year ago, and I'm just like, yeah, we were both a little stiffer back then. So that's good to see.
It is good to see. I noticed that too. Well, you never know when you're going to go record something. It's like, well, I don't know what we're going to talk about, what we're going to do. But yeah, a year of flow. 2025 is definitely a year of flow. It's been fun. Appreciate you, brother.
You as well. Hang on for just a sec and have a fucking beautiful, amazing holiday season with your family and loved ones. And yeah, perfect. Do this again, my man.
I am Allah, I am Yahweh Ababa. No one may test the Father.